Recording, yeah.
Good.
There you go.
How you been, Sab?
I've been good.
Yeah?
I've been really good. How have you been?
Exhausted.
Exhausted.
Yeah, so we had a couple kind of productive yet hectic weeks
Yes.
in the past ones, and we were kind of I felt like we weren't really in touch as much.
Yes.
So these podcasts are a great way to kind of get back on track with ourselves. It's like us having meetings with everyone else, but it's really with ourselves.
Yeah, and it's like having a meeting with our audience too, in a way.
Well, that's
Like
what I
when we put
mean.
that
Yeah,
out.
it's like
Yeah.
literally with everyone else, they're almost in. It's a way to get them involved in our meetings.
Yeah.
And that can kind of branch off from us doing like live videos down the line, whatever it may be, where we can, have Q&As where people can kind of be in touch with us with that. And that's the main thing I think that we started developing with the podcast, with not only interviewing other people, but then starting to realize, okay, we're having meetings where we have agendas to, kind of execute all these plans that are coming up and events, but then we start touching on things that we find value, and then we almost want to kind of bring that to someone else because they may find value in it.
Right.
100%. And that kind of brings us to something I want to talk about, which was just perfectionism. So these past events that we've had, we noticed that sometimes we will spend relentless hours dialing something in that is almost like past the point of tediousness. Like it's almost like just too much.
Yeah.
And
we'll be stuck on something for too long and be like, why did we spend so much time on that?
yeah, it's kind of like the thing where it's like you almost like get a group opinion on a caption.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't need that, just post it. But it's kind of like that new era of social media too as well, where we're dwelling on, does this caption mean a lot? And that's like, you sent me that video with Gary Vee, and you see how even he, instead of having it within his group, they post it and say which is the best title.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of saying, okay, instead of us dwelling on it, we can get an overall group from our audience opinion and say what is the best.
And I think the biggest point to take out from that was that they would ask people on a certain platform, like let's say they do a poll on Twitter. They're like, hey, what should we title this video for YouTube or this video for Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like you're double dipping into your platforms instead of it just being only on Instagram or only on Twitter. You're kind of leading that door for them to go check out your other platforms that you're working on.
So my thing is like, what do you personally find in these past couple events or anything like that, really, even with your hectic weekends? Well, we'll get to that in a minute too, is like your weekends are so involved with like ruthless amount of hours overnight. What do you find that you spend so much time trying to perfect, and then you've had that realization where you're like, okay, I'm just going to put it out, and you just feel better of just kind of saying like, I'm done with this?
I don't know. Honestly, I mean, when it comes to like posts, it's just like pictures that I grab from photographers, whether it be like Ulysses or the photography team that I work with out of V5. But I think when it comes to not being so like working on my perfectionism is more so just like live DJing in a way, to where I'm not trying to, every DJ has their own sets. Now, like I know this set's gonna be hot. I fell into that trap a little bit where like I would play a little bit of the same routines more so, but now I'm trying to branch out of that. And so, because I'm like, you're seeing a lot of people that go to the same spots in the city on the weekend, or they see me as like the headlining DJ or that main spot DJ. I don't want to hit them with the same routine that I've been doing for a while. So now it's like, even though I'm always grabbing more music, I've noticed in myself that I'll go back to those routines a little bit because it feels safe to me, because you like, all right, where you're going to play next, or this is going to line you up for this. And now within the past 2-3 weeks or so, I've always been trying to do more to it, but now I'm being more intentional with it. Like, fight that urge of not trying to fall into that routine that you've been playing. You got these hot new tracks, just expose these people to it before. And so instead of just hitting them with the same bangers that they always hear, whether I'm playing it or another DJ plays it. So now I think it's more so of just like, how can I make my my newer sets better. Like I follow so many other producers, but I don't give them the limelight because now I'm falling into that perfectionism trap of like, oh, I got to play the bangers that people are comfortable with. And I'm starting to realize that maybe, you can still listen to those bangers in the cars. That's what people do when they go to the club because they want to get more of a different experience. So now I'm trying to break out of that mold of let me hit them with something new, something dope that they're not going to that can't necessarily be replicated. If you're going to go out to see me, you want to see an experience that's not going to be the same of you like playing all the hits on your playlist in your phone. You know what I mean? Like anyone could do that. Yeah. Now it's more so I want to give people a reason more so to come out to see me because I'm actually like producing more of my art on a free like experience basis where it's not like I said before, I'm not trying to fall into those same routines, but I'm trying to just be more creative with it on the fly and fight that urge of going to that safe spot because I know it's like a dope routine that I've made up in the past, but now like let's actually have fun with it, play with it. If you find yourself in a stuck position, break yourself out of it. You know what I mean? Or like, how am I gonna mix out of this? Oh shit! Now your actual true DJing comes into play now because then people are gonna be listening. Like you could be somewhere outlandish. They'll be like, damn, how is he gonna bring this back? Or what is he gonna do next? So.
And you put yourselves in those uncomfortable positions too.
Yeah, almost like intentionally. Where it's like I know if I start mixing this way, I don't know where I'm gonna end up. So this is gonna be fun. You know what I mean? So where it's like it's gonna put me on my game.
Because DJing essentially is like the only way you're gonna know if something's hot, you have to be in front of a crowd. Like it's not like creating a song where you can.
And you don't always have the same crowd in front of you. Even though you'll be in the same club, different crowd. It's a different crowd every weekend.
And that's the kind of thing with Chicago too. It's always different people.
Yeah,
it's always gonna be a different. With any major city, it's always gonna be a bigger crowd, way different. Like the you can have it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and be at the same place, and you won't get the same people. Or you could just be in the same area, 4 different spots, not the same people, and it's always going to be like that. Where that last Thursday, this song was a killer, but now all of a sudden it's a dud.
Right.
And you don't know what's different.
Right.
What is it? What is the thing that kind of like ruined that for that time, or what shifted through the week or whatever.
Right.
So what I was noticing is that so we've kind of developed a lot of random events. We're not random to us, but they're random. Like it doesn't streamline the same thing. So we've had tributes. We've had the podcast itself with with artists that we've known about that are locally known to us or that we've kind of reached out to. We've had the reggaeton nights. We've had the bash. All of these things, La Bamba. And what I realized is a lot of things come down to the fact that perfectionism will kill your productivity. And the way of that is that we'll dwell so much on the littlest things for a flyer, and it will prolong us from being able to drop the flyer.
Right.
Or we'll spend so much time on the theme, which is a big part of it.
Yes.
But then it will prolong us from being able to drop the ticket link, or like we go into the event knowing that we have a 2-month period, but because of the flyer and rearranging the DJs and setting all these things up and dragging it because we need to be perfect.
Yeah.
That it kills productivity because you're just pushing away, your ability to just kind of execute something where it's of great value and then put it right out.
Yeah.
So, we'll see pictures from a night and we'll be like, oh man, it'd be really great if it was on this side of the room. Well, we can't do anything about that. Like we're just killing the vibe of saying we're dwelling on it because of the fact that, or just anything. I think like even with editing or anything that we learn, production. I know you've done production too as well.
Yeah.
And then even with My Music Past, like perfection will kill your ability to put something out because you will spend, nothing's ever going to be done. You hear a lot of like major artists where they even said like, if I don't listen to my stuff sometimes because if I can go back, I'd change some more about it.
Yeah.
And you have that even with like Kanye and a lot of them will change. Like Kanye did the whole thing where it was
Same Pablo, where he makes some changes after
it was continuing.
Yeah.
Like it was almost unheard of because of streaming
Yeah.
that he was able to change it and change it and change it. Yeah. And that's perfectionism. Now, Was it part
But
of the
that was really cool though.
But was it part of
because,
the
like,
marketing? You know, like was it part of that,
Yeah.
or was it legitimately that's how he is?
Yeah.
You expect a lot of artists where their perfectionism will almost. Some people liked it the way it was before,
Yeah.
and you're giving them an option to dislike it or now like it more, which
Yeah.
is a very, very thin line. Like if we give someone, we do a flyer and then we change it the next week, someone will be like, oh, I like the old flyer. Well, now you just killed
Yeah.
the moment
Yeah.
because you're trying to change it.
Right.
So perfectionism kills
And
productivity.
it's very subjective. I mean, you can't really, like you said, someone might like it, but then it's subjective to whoever's looking at it. You know what I mean? Everyone has their own different view of it, their opinion of it. So being a perfectionist in its own, like, I would say definition, as a lack of a better term of it, is like, it's almost a metaphor for something that isn't real.
It's also like a stigma, it's like a stigma to it.
Yeah.
It's almost like a very pretentious way of saying you're procrastinating on finishing something.
Yeah, like when people say like, "Oh, I'm a perfectionist," it's almost, I almost feel like, not that I feel sorry for them, but I feel a sense of like, oh wow, like you really don't put out anything then, or I know that you're holding on to things that you just don't push out. You know what I mean? To where it's like, I know when someone says they're perfectionist, it's like they probably haven't created that much stuff because you're always too worried about it.
And giving people some benefit of the doubt, there are legitimately things that are just not done.
Yeah.
Like there are tracks that I've heard from people that they're just not done.
And maybe that needs to come out to the point where, like, say if you are a perfectionist and you're like, oh, I need to get past this hump, but I just wanted to make it perfect. Maybe just put it out so you just get past it and can work on the next big thing that's actually going to be better than what you're working on.
But that also goes down to the stigma of it where, like I said, where it's pretentious, because if you go to every artist, anybody that curates anything, they're going to say that they're a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Like if I go to any artist, if I just take a poll and go and I say like, any artist out there, how many of you believe, like just randomly one by one, just say like, do you believe like you're a perfectionist? They're going to say yeah.
Yeah.
Majority of the time they're going to say yeah. No one's really going to say like, no, like
Yeah.
no one's not going to say it. So it's kind of like this thing where it's like, don't fall into a trap of believing that you can't just be done.
Right. I think maybe it should be switched into the perspective, and maybe you just want to shoot for quality and just understand that it can't be perfect, but if it's to a certain standard of quality, then maybe it's good enough for you. You know what I mean? To just put it out.
And
you don't want to put out trash. Obviously, if something's trash, it's trash, but it doesn't have to necessarily be like on a pedestal, this is perfect. Like the audience is going to tell you if it's perfect or not, or if it's good or not. You know what I mean?
And I think the reason why I say it that way is because you have to understand, if you're trying to make something in any form, yes, you can do better, but you also have to realize, in order for you to actually complete something, sometimes you have to just kind of comprehend that this is the best that I can do at this moment.
Right.
Without overextending financially, overreaching my resources in general. Because like prime example is this podcast for people that are kind of involved in it or reaching out to it and kind of now listening to it, with us. We have had already, since the first time we've recorded our first episode, we sent each other a couple videos, a couple references, talked about the quality, talked about like what can we change, blah, blah, blah. We have not dropped the first episode. Yeah. And the reason why is because we can get better stands.
Yeah.
We can get ultimately the highest end quality of camera. We can get better setup. We can paint the room. We can get better design, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But we'll have to invest a little bit more money into actually doing all those type of things. And it will prolong us being able to just grow. And I think people, if you look at anybody that's done a podcast, you look at anybody that started a catalog or a resume, it started at one point. Even resumes. Look at it this way. If someone didn't do or didn't work at all until they mastered every sort of form of education and then got a job, their resume, most people are starting off at like random places that they didn't really want to do, but they perfected who they really are as a worker or an employee. The same thing as this. Like, you have to start from somewhere. So we come to the realization, we're like, okay, well, let's just put out an episode, and from there we'll grow.
Yeah.
From there we'll get better cameras. from there, even the audience themselves will say, you know, if we waited and we put out a even, you know, better quality, whatever it may be, even though this is not bad quality, but a higher end cameras, whatever it may be.
I think it'd just be making excuses at that point.
But someone watching, this goes back to me saying, like, you give somebody an option to like or dislike. Someone watching may be like, I liked the setup before.
Yeah.
I liked how you guys were just, you know, whatever. It wasn't too much.
Yeah.
It wasn't over the top, or it wasn't, you know, certain things that they liked the genuine authenticity of it in the past when you overreached. Like a lot of people think like, oh, I'm going to make a podcast and I have to have all of these things. A lot of this stuff we've had from
For a year and a half.
Yeah.
That we just like we put to use last season, but now we actually like again from taking that time period of learning. Okay, how should we actually create a workflow with this? How should we? I don't want to say produce a marketing plan because we're not looking to like necessarily market itself, but let's hit it in as if we're treating ourselves as a real brand that we're creating. How would we go forth with it, move forward with it? And I think we just, when we started shooting this, we had a more of understanding, okay, we had a little bit of experience now before, but now we're going to use that experience to actually use the right tactics of that from growing from those that past time. You know what I mean? Now we're moving forward and let's just hit it this way. We have a better game plan. The first season around was kind of just, okay, let's just, how does the equipment work? What does it look like when we upload it? What the videos work? What's the best shots? Whatever stuff, little things like that. But now I think we have a better understanding where it's like, okay, we almost have no excuse anymore. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, what more do you obviously need to go through or learn more to feel that you're ready enough? You're never going to be ready enough if you're always thinking that way. So now it's just like, let's just do it and just see what happens and lose that perfectionist aspect of it of like, it has to be perfect. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Someone watching this right now will be like, why is his leg over his other leg like that? Why is he, who does he think he is? Or what does he think?
And someone may watch it and say, wow, like look at how more they have further down the line than I have. And not to say that you know, we're better off, but to say, like, going back to that, when we had last season, it was a year and a half that I was like buying all of these things.
Yeah.
That I spent so much time on what's the best, the boom, you know, the arm for it, or what's the best, you know, adapter, what's the best like cords to get. I was just spending so much time instead of just saying, let me just get a couple mics. Even if it's like you're holding it in your hand.
Your phone is a mic.
Yes. Even if you're holding it in your hand, like the whole setup that we have to your right, like you can do that all from your phone.
Yeah.
I just spent so much more of my resources because I was trying to present an image for people that I haven't even developed.
Right.
Like that audience. I haven't even got that audience yet, but I was so worried on they're going to think this is just some...
Or they're not going to take you serious. I think that's more so it. Like, you want to be taken serious when you first come out with something new and not just be like, oh, it's one of those things that he's trying or whatever. I get it. You know what I mean? It's like, like no, like, I'm for real about this.
Because even when I first got you, like, to come on board and we had it all set up, even you were like, wow, there's a lot. This is a lot of investment. And then slowly but surely we started realizing like, oh, okay, like we have enough to do it everywhere. Yeah. Like I bought this house. Yeah. And then we're like seeing this basement and we're still in that mentality of like, oh, we can probably do like a podcast there or there. And then we realized like, why don't we just use this space? Yeah. Like use this space. Like this is actually, and now it feels even more like home. We have this idea of like our guests coming down these stairs and it becomes like the niche of it. Like, you know, they're coming to the basement. Yeah. They're coming to, you know, the Radio Rejekts lab.
Almost like you're hearing in on those conversations that you wish you could hear people have when they're just like more in a comfortable setting or like.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I want to give that feel here where it's like you're just a fly on the wall listening to those moments.
100%. And someone here that eventually, like that's even with our guests from the first season where we have somebody there and, you know, ideally you would want someone that's, you know, #1 album of the year right now and have them as a guest, and you want to have like Travis Scott as your guest.
Right.
But that's with time.
Right.
You're not going to get that on your first try.
Right.
You have to get artists that are working just as hard as you to get to that point where you both are succeeding just as much as the other one.
Right.
So we've had some great guests on last season where we spent so much time on the quality of the last post edit that it dragged on their episode dropping.
That's perfection.
That's perfection.
Yeah, that's perfectionism.
Because we're killing their ability to drop the episode for the launch of something because of the fact that we're spending so much time on post edit.
Yeah.
When you seen me being able to show you what I've done with the last episode, I could just take this right now, cut it up real quick, do between all 3 cameras, and then put it out.
You know, I just had this thought in my mind because we're just talking about it. I feel like that's something that also branches off of just being a creative or being an artist itself. If you didn't grow up in a household or grew up with friends or family that weren't creatives themselves, I think that whole perfectionism stems from that because it's just not traditional to them. They might think, okay, like, go to school, get a good job, get a career, but we're actually trying to treat our art as almost like our career. It's going to be our main source of income, and we're trying to make a life around it. And I think just because you're not surrounded by people like that, I think that's kind of where the perfectionism stems from. Because, like, for example, for me being a DJ, I remember this like as if it was yesterday, like sitting down with my parents. We were at like breakfast. I was probably like, I don't know, 11, 12 years old. And we were just talking about like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be a DJ. And they just like, I remember them clearly just like laughing about it and just be like, oh no, like, and then they got serious like within like a couple seconds, like, no, what do you really want to be or do? And obviously, like, I give just a BS answer, but still in the back of my mind is like, no, like, I think I really want to still do that. But I think it's different now because you're like, but obviously being exposed to the internet, social media, you could see people that are actually like, oh no, they actually made a life out of their art or what they're doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like someone's a graphic designer, and I'm sure like when they were a kid, they just drew pictures all day, and like their parents were probably like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And kids like, I want to be a painter or an artist or whatever. And they were like, haha, get serious. Or I think that's where that perfection stems from. Because then it's like, no, you want to be taken serious by these people. You know what I mean? Because it's so serious to you. Like, this isn't a joke or this isn't just a little hobby. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's where perfection comes from. I think it's just like something that's probably instilled as like when you're growing older or getting into that phase.
It changes because of the fact that like even with my parents, when I told them I wanted to do music, like I remember them finding my raps and everything and just throwing them away, or like breaking CDs that I had because they were like, no, you're not going to listen to this.
Yeah. And
you're scared because you're like, well, how am I supposed to create? Like, this gives me like kind of purpose and meaning.
Right.
And that's why I think we watch these artists around us and hold so much value in them because of the fact that they are teaching us.
And I also want to make a point, like, don't disrespect your parents or think like, F them. I think it's more so it should be down to like, okay, just add that fuel to why you should do it even more. You know what I mean?
Because you could do both.
Yeah.
You could legitimately still obviously. I'm not saying.
And if you
drop out at 5th grade and start.
Yeah, no. Don't do it like that. But don't be a little about it like, oh, I'm not where I want to be because my parents killed my dreams. You know what I mean? Like, just fight through it, go through it. It's gonna make you a better artist or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't think people should treat that as a crutch. I mean, as of like, I'm not where I want to be because people shut down my dreams. Like, no, just keep growing. Anything is literally possible. It could be whatever, the weirdest thing that you like. Someone is killing it in that industry, in that game, whatever. You just got to find them.
Yeah, there's so many artists that you can watch, like either DJs or whatever, where they went to a full scholarship school, they dropped out, they whatever.
Yeah.
And they still achieved, like, they're on this, magic trip of just being like the shit. They were exactly where they want to be.
Yeah.
You can't really, the whole thing going back to that, to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, you can't really fall in line with other people, because you see that on Twitter too as well, where people are like, oh, I could be an entrepreneur and everything like that because Bill Gates dropped out of college and blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro,
he had a different drive
than you. He made computers. Yeah. It's like definitely not the same thing. I get it, bro. Your raps are really dope, but like continue on, even with you,
be
like,
honest with yourself, bro.
He made like a whole thing.
Yeah, like that was his life.
Yeah, but anybody, even like Steve Jobs, like those are very like, not to say you can't knock somebody for wanting to believe that, but understand like you have to be completely honest with yourself.
Have the work ethic behind it.
And yeah, because like they were relentless with what they were doing. Like Elon Musk was saying how him and his brother, I think it was, where they would go around the clock, where he would do night shifts and his brother would do like morning shifts. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's his brother, but they would just go around the clock of doing PayPal. I think it was PayPal, where they would be the servers. They would continue to make sure it was functioning around the clock, but from them, and they would just do that all day, every day to make it work. And eventually it paid off. But they were also incredibly invested in that. Like they researched it, they learned it. Yeah. Like, yeah, you can also reinvent the wheel, but are you trying to reinvent a whole new thing or modify it or change it? Whatever whatever you're trying to do, just understand that you have to be 100% devoted to it. Yeah. Like you have to indulge in that.
And I'm sure even at a time like that, that's something I was even like, it's crazy that you bring that up too, because I was thinking about the whole PayPal like 2 weeks ago, but it's like at the time someone had to probably tell them like, you really think that's gonna work? Like no one's gonna want their money like digitally
floating around in the air.
Around. Like come on, get real. You know what I mean? Like, and then everyone uses like Venmo, PayPal, all these.
They were one of the first launches into it. Yeah. Gary Vee was talking about it. I think it was either that that video you sent me or another one, because it was like one of those things where like YouTube's like, you should continue to watch this shit. Yeah. Where he was saying like, I was already invested into the weed culture. Yeah. Was it that video?
Oh yeah, it was in like 97.
Yeah, 97. Like he was like, I get that famous people are just kind of like dipping into things because it's quick money. Yeah. But he's like, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in stuff that I was already premeditated thinking that it was going to be successful, and I just continued on with that. Yeah. So there's stuff that, like you even posted, I think on Twitter, where you were like, what was it? All the family videos are going to be to weed dispensaries. Did we have a conversation where it was like they're already selling CBD oils, and if they close down, are they closing down too?
Yeah, on the I just drove past the one by the mall. They just had like a blowout sale, like movies for 50 cents. Like they're empty.
So that's what makes you think like, what are
they're preparing for that? Like in my head, I mean, they could be, it could not. They're just getting rid of them, but realistically, like watch, they're gonna be dispensaries in a couple months.
Because where are dispensaries gonna be? And there's already those locations.
They have prime locations. They're not like a lot of busy streets. It's perfect.
And then if they have like a drive-through menu, it'd be ideal for that. But that's like where you say that like for me living in this area, I always thought like a prime location for something was where that Movies 8 was.
Oh, okay. Do
you know where that's at?
Yeah.
Like nothing's there.
Yeah.
Why is nothing there? I thought like something could be there where people can gravitate to. Like you should build something. Like why is it not like another?
That'd be a good spot for a dispensary.
It's like but
that whole mall is dying.
Don't say that, bro. They're building a Costco there, all right? They're going to build a Costco
going to do well, but the mall is
I think
dying.
If they built something really successful there around that area, it would be ideal, because that mall, something's going to happen, all right? I want this shit to succeed, all right? So I think there's going to be a lot of stuff. Chick-fil-A is going to come in there. Someone's going to spit in their food. Yeah. It's not going to be my pleasure. But yeah, so it whittles down to there when you think about like you have these ideas, you have these things, and you like, can there be something there? Am I going to be the one to do it, or am I going to dwell on the fact that like why is like I remember having like arguments with people like, why are they not investing in that area? But it's like, it's not my job.
It's like damn, Lou, why don't you invest?
Why is like I don't got the money, Mom? I need it. But you
I'm trying to do this rap thing that you just bitched at me about.
She doesn't understand my bars. So I mean, there's a transition of a stage where you have to realize, okay, look, like I'm not going to do that. Someone else could, and maybe if I come across someone else that has the resources to invest in that area, like, okay, cool, but I can't focus all my energy on that.
Right.
Like I'm not going to make the next PayPal, but I may make something that is successful in it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't want to be the inventor of something.
Right.
I want to be successful in media culture, or I want to make a movie. Like people that are directing movies, they have no interest in developing a new camera.
Right. You don't want to reinvent the wheel.
That's what it is. You don't want to. Some people do. Yeah. Some people have developed so many movies where they're like, I want to make something like Dr. Dre.
But I think I'm gonna make just a little bit of a tangent here. it's almost like thinking like there's so many people that still have that mindset of like, why should I do that if someone else is going to do that, when they don't understand the odds of someone else actually following through and doing it are so little. I don't know if
You
you
beat
if you
them
get
to
what I'm
the
trying to say.
punch. Yeah, like there's why can't Edison and Tesla.
Yeah,
They both made it some sort of currency of electricity.
yeah,
One just, I mean, obviously there's other kind of politics involved in that too, but
yeah,
one of them achieved something that it ultimately is the way that we use
yeah,
what is now electricity.
yeah.
They both didn't shy away. Oh man, he's kind of a little further along than me,
Yeah,
like
they
whatever.
just kept on
Like,
their own path.
yeah, someone's gonna fail in that.
Yeah,
The same thing. What I was just about to say with Dr. Dre and Beats.
yeah,
How many headphone companies has already like produced since the launch of since Beats, and how many were prior to that were already like staples?
right. It was just only, honestly, at that time it was mostly just like Sony and like what,
Bose,
JVC, is that the other
JBL.
JBL?
Yeah, but I mean, like, there are so many headphones that were
Yeah.
there that you didn't really. It almost was like someone that wasn't really inventing something that was like.
That's a good example of like not reinventing the wheel but making it better. That's like a good example
Yeah,
of
because
that.
it wasn't so much of like, yeah, he's gonna make quality headphones. Like, obviously, we're not using them. Why? Because we don't necessarily need that.
Yeah,
But he wasn't only thinking about like, I'm gonna invent the greatest quality of headphones. I get that that's probably like what
I'm
his
just gonna
mentality
invent
was.
the coolest headphones.
But I'm gonna make something that's gonna change the culture of headphones, and it's gonna be like on every athlete and everything like that. So it's the same thing of like a Steve Jobs. Like, I can invent a new phone. Like, he was saying that.
Mhm.
Like, the people behind him were creating this new phone that ultimately like shifted the way we use phones.
Mm.
But he was also, I'm going to bring it so that it's accessible, and it changes the culture of how we communicate.
Yeah,
It wasn't just like a dope little phone that you can have that's going to be looking good for you.
right.
It was like a whole shift of how you're going to interact. There's people like that, and there's people that can just find use in the things that are already made.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about the whole phone thing too? I think when people probably first saw the iPhone, they didn't think it was that appealing because it didn't have all the buttons. But now that if you see a phone with a whole bunch of buttons, you're gonna be like, "Why does it have so many buttons?"
I mean,
Like,
bro,
it's
you're going
stupid.
back in time with the brick phones.
Yeah.
Like, before it was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't even have a cord.
But no, I remember being like fascinated with the phones that would like the flip one and then it have a whole keyboard full of buttons. and stuff
Sidekick?
like, yeah, like the sidekicks
where
and
you
stuff like
flipped
that.
it.
But now if I saw a phone like that, I'd be like, "What the fuck? Like, there's so many buttons." You know what I mean?
So
Like,
stupid.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember being like in homeroom and someone flipped it. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
like that's so
You
cool.
got money, wow.
And now it's like a way to flaunt it. Like, you have
Yeah.
your earpods. That's a way to flaunt, like, oh, we got
Yeah.
like, you at the gym with those. Like,
I
that's,
don't even think it's that. I think Twitter made it a flaunting thing because
Twitter
I have
makes
AirPods
everything.
and they're so convenient. I'm not even gonna lie.
But that was my hesitation because of the
Yeah.
fact that you have that where it's almost like, like if I didn't get it prior to it and I get on the wagon right then and there, then people are gonna say one thing.
Right.
You know, it's almost like, like I don't want to wear these right now because
Yeah.
people are gonna be like. But then you're like, oh, these are actually really cool. Like, they work really well.
I just wish they were like
I just,
75 bucks.
Wish
instead
they
of-
were like half the price, or I found it on the ground. So yeah, so I think like it's that's the whole concept. I mean, kind of falling back to what we were talking about, where people are going to you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt of saying like, I know what I want to do. I'm going to indulge in it. I'm going to be successful at it, and I know the worth ethic that I need to have in order to achieve this.
Right.
But I'm not going to reinvent anything.
Right.
You can develop something that's brand new, but you also have to realize that nothing is original. Nothing now is original.
100%, right.
You are just modifying something that's already being done.
Yeah.
There's something that's like, wow, that is like crazy.
Yeah.
That is going to be.
And also, people are not gonna buy into your thing. They're gonna only buy into you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you
like,
as an
like
individual.
you're saying, if there's like 10 people that do the same thing as you, then now it comes down to the sole person themselves. Like, people are gonna buy into you versus whatever music you're pushing, product you're selling, whatever you're doing. It's the person now is the denominator. It's not whatever it is.
Yeah, you yourself are completely original enough, and I hate that's like another thing with perfectionism. Like, there's these words that we attach to our art and our body.
Mhm.
That's like hinders our ability to grow and hinders our ability to achieve something because we're trying to be original.
Yeah.
And you're never going to be original. There's no unique. That you are individually, you are as a person, you are 100% unique.
Yeah.
Because you're not like the next person.
Yeah.
But like, stop trying to think that I have to make something original.
Yeah.
No music that I've heard in a long time has been original. It's been great. It's been like amazing modifications of what's already been done in the past. They find new ways to use like an auto tune or adjust and with programs and newer programs that someone else has done.
Yeah.
They've been able to use those things to make a different type of snare or whatever it may be, and make a gorgeous album or a gorgeous song or a really like a banger or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not like original.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean,
I don't want to kill anybody's dream where people are like, oh, he's like, I am original.
Thank God I watched this episode to see how this Rebel Fitty guy really is.
What does he know? But yeah, so I think like that's the whole thing. I kind of like, let's circle back to the whole perfectionist thing. Like, perfectionism is a word that will kill your productivity. It's a word that you attach to something because you are psyching yourself out to believe that it needs a little more adjustment. It needs a little bit of a, I need to redo it with something else. Or, like my shirt is not the shirt that I want, so I'm not going to post this or whatever it may be. Like Gary Vee talks about it a lot. I hate to name drop a lot, but if you watch his videos, he keeps on saying like a ton of content. He's not worried about what he's wearing.
Yeah.
Just put it out.
Yeah.
Like constantly put out a bunch of content. Yeah. And I think that's what we're going to go into this next year is just constantly putting out a bunch of content because last year was so like choreographed that like I was worried about those two other pages that I didn't put enough content on my own page.
Yeah.
It's so far in between.
Yeah.
That the interaction is there's some people out there like wondering like what's Lou up to?
Yeah.
I need to kind of target those people.
Right.
Even if it's minimal people that are following.
Even me, like I was slacking on using Facebook up until only like 6 months ago they actually started using it again. And like I just was so upset with myself, like wow, I really cut myself out of like a whole different audience that I could have been tapping into. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many different type of personalities and people that use Facebook that don't use Twitter or don't use Instagram. Like it's honestly a whole different world in itself. Good or bad. I just go in there just to like, keep up with certain people and just push my content out. But just realizing that one flaw, I was like, man, like why didn't I use this for so long? And it was just because I was being comfortable with just using Twitter or Instagram. Yeah.
I think with anything else, especially like Facebook, because of the way it's kind of like the culture of Facebook has shifted.
Yeah.
I don't mean to use like some random analogy or whatever it may be, but like it's kind of like if you're going into like a hot tub to conversate or to converse with somebody. Yeah. Or you're just going to go into the pool and do a couple laps and get what you need out of it. Like it probably doesn't make sense, but like, hear me out. So with Facebook, if you go into it, you have to be able to use these apps for your branding. You said like they're not buying into what you're putting onto Facebook. They're buying into you.
Right.
Like don't make it so personable about the brand itself, but more so about yourself. So when you go into Facebook, I started to realize like it's almost like you can get lost in it. Like there's so much like fake articles or whatever like that. You have to realize like I kind of have to like
the meme culture is so different too.
On there, it's just wild because it is a great resource. It's kind of become that like Facebook is becoming this thing where it's like the old person culture. Like it's like where people, it's like the hospice. It's like the senior citizen community.
It's like when someone makes a joke and you laugh so they don't feel like bad about themselves. Like that's what I think about Facebook. It's just like ha,
my guy. So you have to realize that as an artist or as someone that is trying to project what you're doing to someone else. It has to be formatted good, like in a solid way. Like there is that way where you have to kind of strategize it, use it frequent, but also kind of like get in and get out.
It's funny that you say strategize because I was just thinking about this. Like because I drive so much, so I'm always like on super long drives. But if you, I feel like with how you know, accessible Instagram, all these platforms are to us, and if you're not trying to grow a brand right now, like now is the peak time to do anything. Like you don't even have to be a creative. Like you could just be whatever. Like you have a passion for something or you're really interested in something. I think like if you don't grow a brand at anything, like you're just cutting yourself short of like a lot of good opportunities to meet other people, to experience, to travel, to just do really dope things and create a dope life. It's just like I always push that of like I love that we're talking about perfectionism right now, because it's like if you don't push out content of whatever that you like, it doesn't have to be music, even though we're on a music, like there's a music brand that we're trying to create, but like just do it, just do something, just follow other people, just push other content that you like. There's going to be a audience for whatever you're doing, because like now I feel like there's not going to be a time like this, probably like this gap that we're living in is only going to last for like maybe 10, 15 years, and you could have been one of the people that's killing it in 10 years from now versus like not taking advantage of the time that we're in right now.
Yeah. This is how I know perfectionism kills productivity. Immediately when you said that, there's people that watch it,
Yeah.
and they're going to watch and say, okay, like I want to do.
And I'm honestly, I'm saying this on like mic because I want people to hold myself accountable too, to be like, okay, I want someone to check up on me in like 6 months and be like, what has he been up to?
And just
Or,
talk shit to
yeah.
you. No, okay, so like this. There's a good, like people that watch it, let's just say they want to do woodwork, because I don't want to call anybody out. I don't know anybody that does woodwork, so whatever. So they want to do that. The way perfectionist kills, they're going to spend months on a name.
Yeah.
That's perfectionism killing productivity.
Yeah.
Like you see so many people that say like, my name's Lou.
Yeah.
Sebastian, DJ Sab, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like you can dwell on the fact that my name's not cool enough. What kind of name should it be? Blah, blah, blah. Like with Radio Rejekts.
Mind you, there's so many people that say my DJ name wrong. They'd be like, DJ Saab.
And they say it like that too.
But in my mind, I'm like, fuck it. At least they're saying my name. Like,
at least
whatever.
they like,
yeah.
they kind of associate.
They know who I
it.
am.
They
Versus
say
like,
yeah. So like, I mean, even mine, Rebel Fidi, like people say it like completely different.
Yeah.
So
Rebel Fighty?
Rebel Fidi, feta cheese. But I mean, you stop, because like give you a little scenario. Radio Rejekts, the name itself. I spent so much time trying to, this was back with Marino, trying to come up with some name for it. Yeah. Radio Rejekts was already something I made that name for a show in the long past, like a while, years before. And we spent so much time trying to like brainstorm all these things that eventually we just went back to Radio Rejekts. So like there is a name that you're going to overthink about, just do it.
Yeah.
You can change your name. Like you don't even, like some people like don't even have
Young
stuff.
Thug changed his name like Diddy.
Yeah. Diddy, Brother
Sean
Love.
Combs,
Brother Love was Diddy.
Puff
like
Daddy, Puffy.
Like Jigga, Jay-Z,
Kendrick has his aliases of like K-Dot and Kung Fu Kenny, all these things.
Yeah.
Like, you remake yourself.
Champagne Poppy.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have nothing to do with Drake, but it does. Like that's not even, he doesn't even have
Lil Wayne with the Tunchi.
Yeah.
Like you're just recreating yourself. You're a different person through all these phases.
The F
stands for
it's so many
million
things. So like it
stands for front doors,
everything. So, so that's the thing, is like that kind of the perfect way to end it.
Yeah.
If you are automatically heard that and you thought like, what should I call it? And you know, if you're not in denial about it and you're not naive about it, stop dwelling on the fact that the name, the design, like just do it.
Yeah.
Just start it. People will tell you, whatever, like you have to clean your filter and realize like, okay, like I'll take what they're saying with a grain of salt. I can change these things, whatever it may be. But produce a video.
Yeah.
Even with your iPhone.
Yeah.
Learn how to edit, even if it's free apps.
Yeah.
Upgrade to paid apps.
Yeah.
Upgrade to subscriptions, whatever it may be. But start somewhere.
Yeah.
And just take the step.
Yeah.
Yes, your quality may not be what other people are, but go look at their page and try to research what they started with.
Yeah.
And it's completely different.
And just have patience and just not having a sense of like, I need to have this many followers or this many people buy my merch, and by this time, like, just give it time. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, because a lot of people will spend thousands of dollars to make the product so great, but they didn't invest the same amount of hours in learning how to code the algorithm or learn how to properly use these websites,
Right.
properly, reach those audience.
Right.
Like, you can have the greatest project. We can have like the funniest podcast episode that it relates to everyone, but we don't know how to get to those people.
Right.
Because we're spending so much time on just the content itself.
Right.
Like, it's not everything's going to go viral and you're going to think that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, your one song can go viral, cool, but you still have to make 100 songs to get that
And I
one.
think what's really cool too is that we're not like, obviously anyone would love for something to go viral, but I think we're also in the shoes of like, cool, if something doesn't go viral, we're creating our brand along the way, so where like we don't need anything for viral to go crazy at a certain point, because we've just built this brand that's gonna have more stability and longevity than having that burst of all eyes on you and then people forget about you the next day.
Yeah. Okay. Let me try to ease up the conversation.
Yeah.
So I say we talk about what we're gonna have coming up October 12th.
Yes. So we have the Mac Miller tribute coming up. Best night ever. Second annual one. The first one was amazing. First one I cried so much.
I think I got photos of it.
It was just so the timing of it was very close to the death, and Mac was a big influence to me. But
so this event is pretty dear to you.
Yeah.
This is like the equivalent of someone saying, let's do like a Kid Cudi event. Like, I adore that man's career. You are a huge fan of Mac Miller.
Yes.
He kind of like, paved your youth.
Yeah.
I guess, like, the soundtrack to that kind of
Like,
time in your
it was like
life.
it was like a soundtrack.
He
to
grew
any
with
phase.
you.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Like, you grew with him and he grew with you. Like, even from like me knowing his music too as well,
Right.
from the beginning to like, even his last project, Swimming, even some of the unreleased stuff that's coming on, you can see the progression in his music. With this, you kind of reached out and said like, hey, I want to do a Mac Miller tribute. And we kind of already were planning on doing tributes regardless.
Yeah.
But this was something that obviously this tops all the tributes.
Yeah, this one feels like very deep in my heart, because it's like, I don't know, it's just having so much like appreciation towards someone, and it's cool because it's like, not because it's cool, but the fact that it's someone that so many people have come out to pay appreciation towards. It's like you share that same feeling with people that showed up. You know what I mean? Because it's not like someone someone could go see a concert of him next week. It's like, no, like, he's actually not here anymore. So like, this is cool that he impacted you so much to want to even come out to this tribute night. You know what I mean? Or just show up here, like, which is cool. Because it's not about us. It's about, obviously, the music, about Mac.
Yeah. So that's why with the event, we made it 100%, free to the public. A lot of our events, any events that we usually have, there's some sort of like cost to get in, whatever it may be. Yeah. But this one, we know that it's such a sensitive subject. It's such a, like, with the different tributes, it was kind of like, come out and party and like whatever. This is the main thing that I always say to people that are kind of like talking about it is like, come and celebrate.
Yeah.
This beautiful human being's life.
Yeah.
That, was cut short, for obviously with the news they were coming out with a lot of things that recently has been discovered and everything.
Yeah.
It's just even like the last one, the first one, just like how beautiful that was.
Yeah.
Like, we did not expect that. We were like, okay, let's throw a free event, have everyone come, like we'll hopefully we'll get like 100 people. Like, it's always like that. Like, I hope there's, like whatever. But there was an hour wait to get inside.
Yeah.
It was, and people did not, I didn't hear anyone complain about the fact that it was that long to get inside. Like, it was almost like I have to be inside.
Yeah. It was almost like as soon as you started hearing his music, when you walked in the door, it was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Because of that moment when because it was like the doors were open and the music was like kind of playing.
Yeah.
The people that were in the crowd, you heard them making friends.
Yeah.
And they were friends. Like you could tell, like they weren't friends before that night. Sorry,
Yeah.
they weren't friends before that night, but like it almost was like we were friends for this long time.
Right.
Like we became friends because of the fact that you're just learning something about someone you just met in like this person loves this person just as much as me.
Right.
And
It's like, I'm a good person, so this person must be a good
yeah,
person.
this is 100%. Like we grew up on the same thing. We must be great people. And I remember like that image, like I always have that video, and I'll put it up too as well. But that footage of like us, like I'm videotaping you, and this was like a beautiful moment for you. Like I could tell like in your eyes like how excited you were to see this line, and like the special set that I know you spent so much time doing,
Yeah.
and perfecting. Once again, perfecting. But like you, that one's like a whole
No,
different
that
thing.
one I had to do right.
You had to do right, like the interviews. So if
That
someone
shit was tough too, honestly, because it's like, damn, I miss this guy so much, and I got to spend so much hours like going through his interviews. And I'm just like, man, why do you got to go so soon?
Yeah.
I'm just like,
But I mean, that's what made it even such a special night.
yeah.
Is because you kind of like choreographed interviews,
Yeah.
live performances, like the one with John Mayer. I hope you do that one again. But
Yeah,
the
that
one
was
with John
amazing.
Mayer is like kind of like it was for his live event.
Yeah.
And just kind of constructing this set where I look into the crowd, and originally I wanted to like navigate through the crowd and talk to them, thinking like, oh, it's going to be 80 to 100 people. There was no space.
No.
I could not get through the crowd. I had to go around the building to get to the back of the crowd,
Yeah.
and just be able to like pass out these wristbands that we wanted to give out to people for donating.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too as well. So if you're watching this or you have watched it, regardless, it doesn't matter if this you see this after the event or before it or the night of, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It is a free event, but we always, just like last year, we encouraged people to donate online.
Yeah.
He has his foundation. It is a wonderful foundation. I believe this past, I think it was like January or February, they just announced that some of the funds actually got dispersed to a select individual. It's kind of like a scholarship almost.
Yeah.
And it's a great cause, and we have it in the ticket link.
Yeah. The Mac Miller Circle Foundation.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh
Foundation.
Circles Foundation.
And to donate directly there. So
Yes.
you know, we had people like, you know, wanting to donate the night of the event, and we would just have them like show us that they donated on their phone, and we would give them wristbands. Kind of want to do that again. We might.
Yeah.
Especially with the kind of theme. We have something special as far as merch wise, kind of in the works, but we always wanted to encourage people like, look, like this is a free event, because the fact that, you know, it is a very sensitive subject, but we also want to encourage, like, this is a something that we want you to, you know,
give back
to this artist that you truly do love, and his foundation. I think they raised like a couple $100,000, which is really great. So the event is October 12th, 2019. The last one was right around the same time. I think it was in September, right, or August?
No, it was late September.
Late September.
Yeah, I was trying to get it a little. No, I take that back. I think it was like, dude, it was like the first week of November. I remember it being pretty.
Oh
late.
yeah, it was later.
Yeah,
we couldn't
I was
get
trying to get it in September just because of timeline purposes, but it was just so every venue I was looking at was booked up, and that November was the first week. But it actually turned out because it was right before it got cold out, so it was like the last weekend of it being like, you know, comfortably
the weather
warm.
was perfect.
Weather was perfect. Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of hoping the same thing right now. Like obviously with the rain that we just recently had, nothing happens like that too as well. It's indoors, but that always like hinders. That always kind of like makes people not want to go out if the weather's bad or whatever.
Yeah.
So we already have like a good couple hundred RSVPs. The RSVP link, you go to Eventbrite. It's at Mac Miller. You just type that in and it'll come up. It's a picture of him. Like I said, I'll put it right here.
Yeah. It's an awesome picture.
Awesome picture. And I'll even put like the artist. I don't want to say his name wrong. I think it's Saldana. or Sundana Studios. I'll put it right here.
Yeah. Based out of
So you
California.
can, yeah, based out of California. I really do actually want to go meet him when we go out there again. We want to do other things in California, but I'm almost like, kind of want to get everything dialed in here and then project that next year we'll start making trips out there with the success of these events.
Yes.
So October 12th, 2019. This year we kind of know exactly what we have with our tributes, which is just DJing, playing. For the first half of the night, they're going to play artists that were either featured on some of his projects, like Anderson .Paak or Wiz Khalifa. All of those, Tyler the Creator, Schoolboy Q.
People of that area.
Yeah. So for the first portion, that's kind of what it's going to lead into. And then you have like, what is it, 2 hours, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, my set's like 2.5 hours.
2.5 hour set of just
Mac.
a Mac Miller.
Yep.
Once again, October 12th, 2019.
Cool. I think it's a good wrap.
Yeah.
Yep, we got a lot. Cool.
Yeah. I don't think we got your weekend or procrastination.
We could talk about that on the next one.